The last hurrah for Newcastle and St George Illawarra in 2014. Who can finish on a high? Here's the way the Knights line up, the same 17 players as named by Wayne Bennett earlier in the week. On the team sheet, the only shuffle, Travis Waddell will start in jumper 14, Adam Clydesdale to come off the bench. The Matautia brothers on the wings and hoping to continue their try-scoring form. Over to St George Illawarra, and they are unchanged 1 through 17. Jared Beale at the back, Durgan and Matautia in the centre. So 3 Matautia brothers out there this afternoon. Benji Marshall and Gareth Widdop in the halves. Pumapi, Matthews, Harrison and Leeson Armau, the bench for coach Paul McGregor. Old Boys Day is underway at Hunter Stadium. And Marshall takes the kick-off and goes straight to Mike Cooper. He's represented England at every level except senior level and hopes to get a phone call in coming days. Who knows? Here's Frizzell. Carl Stanley through Marshall and Jack DeBellin. Cooper passing this time. And Merrin. He stopped 5 short of halfway. Beale involved early, tackled by Travis Waddell, and they'll complete the first set through Widdop along the ground for Gidley, and he escorts it into touch 5 metres out.
I'll be interested to see how Kyle Stanley goes today, playing dummy half, because I don't know about you, Matty, I'm a huge rap on Mitch Rain, who's out suspended at the moment, and he's a really busy, organising, quick playmaker in and around the ruck, and he's not there this week. Kyle Stanley's very competent, no two ways about that, but I think Mitch Rain's really improved this year, really evolved as a player, and it's such an important position in the modern game, dummy half.
He's been a constant, Mitch Rain. He's only missed 2 games, and the second one being today as Chanel Matautia. From the back of the scrum, he's stopped 24 metres out. Now Rocco. Stopped by DeBellin, Cooper and Stanley. Adam Cuthbertson. Bound for Leeds on a 4-year deal. Waddell sends it down the short side and Leilua crosses halfway. Still 2 plays left for the Knights. Cuthbertson on to Mason. And he couldn't get away from Merrin. Frizzell or Cooper. Here's Jared Mullen passing for Roberts. He kicks also along the ground. Morris has it and passes infield for Jared Beale. And the Dragons are tackled 10 metres out. The Dragons with a commanding record against Newcastle. And as we mentioned, having won 13 of 15 here, Brett Morris spots a bit of room. Fends away from 2, but not Robbie Rocco. Now DeBellin, who just lost his footing as he was confronted by Tyrone Roberts. Stanley for Cooper. He's had a solid first season, a rookie season in the NRL. Averaging 95 metres, 45 minutes a game. This is the last, and it's Widdop again along the ground. This time it sits up nicely. And Matautia Chanel plays the ball now for Dane Gagai.
Changed the numbers this week, Chanel. Is there a sponsorship beckoning, do you think, Matthew?
There could be. It would be one of the stranger rugby league sponsorships, wouldn't it? Mullen, flat for Cuthbertson, who came out the other side. Adam Cuthbertson, a pirouette. Adam Cuthbertson chopped down. A try saver from Jared Beale. What a move from the big back rower. Mullen, long on the bounce for Roberts. He gets the ball away for Rocco. Still standing. He passes for Joey Leilua. Leilua scores Newcastle's first try. He had huge numbers last week and comes up with a big opening.
Dragons player. I've got a try. That'll be tackle 5. We have a try. Pierce, please check over there and see if there's a knock-on by Newcastle.
I don't think there was a knock-on. Oh, I didn't see anything. It was a great finish by Joey Leilua, and you're right, he's been one of the star attractions in the Newcastle side this year, together with his centre partner, Dane Gagai. They've been a real feature of the Knights' performances. Both very dangerous ball runners. This was started by Adam Cuthbertson, who played the ball there. Jared Mullen attempts the big cutout pass, and I'm guessing that's what the referees wanted to look at, whether or not the ball comes off Robbie Rocco and bounces back into a Dragons defender. So here's the pass. No issue there. I don't think Rocco actually grabs at the ball until it rolls off Roberts and the Dragons defender. So that's... Can understand why they wanted to quiz it. That rolls on Tyrone's shoulder. You've not got an issue with that,
no,
Matt?
I've seen nothing to suggest that this will be pulled back.
And then Leilua gets it in space, and he's impossible to stop that close. In fact, I'll go as far to compare Joey Leilua, his size and speed, to Conrad Hurrell from the Warriors. When he gets going, boy, he's hard to pull down.
Is it his 6th try in his past 7 games at Hunter Stadium? There's the answer. Joseph Leilua. He goes all right. Gidley adds the extras, 6-0. Newcastle, sideline Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, thanks, Matty. Just to let you know that there's a strong breeze around here. It's swirling around too. It's hard to get an indication of who's run with the benefit of it in this first half. And you're giving Joey Leilua a rap there about his numbers last week. I want to give a rap to Adam Cuthbertson. This is a guy I've always had a high opinion of. We all know about his offload and how dangerous that can be. But last week against the Eels, he ran for 188 metres from 22 runs, and he also chipped in with 24 tackles. He's clearly a talented player and a real loss for the NRL.
The restart floats for Tyrone Roberts. And his pass for David Farlongo, who turns 34 this week. And it's uncertain where he will be, if anywhere, in the NRL next season. The Knights haven't ruled out keeping David Farlongo. This man's on the move, definitely. Willie Mason. Waddell through Roberts. Quick hands from Rocco onto Leilua, and he's surrounded by Dragons quickly. DeBellin was down low. Cooper and Josh Dugan doing the work up high. Adam Cuthbertson. Now Mullen completes with a torpedo punt upfield taken by Jared Beale. And he makes a bit of room for himself and gets away from Beau Scott. The tackle was made by Dane Gagai. Peter Matautia. Now Tyson Frizzell. Stanley for Merrin. Up the middle he goes again with an offload. Back for Stanley, who takes some metres. Tackled by Mason and Mullen. Widdop. Second man, it's Beale joining in again. And he stopped 12 metres out. Widdop for Marshall, who stabbed at the ball. It came off Travis Waddell, and now it's taken by Cuthbertson, who's having a busy start to this game. Mullen across field, straight into Marshall, and he bumps away to come again. Waddell finding Matautia up the middle.
This was the best part of their game last week against the Eels. The second phase, the offloads, it killed Parramatta, and it looks as though the Knights have turned up in the same sort of mood here this afternoon.
There's 3. We'll tackle 3 here. Kate's playing the ball on 3. Lock in, Marcus. Play the ball on 3.
Mason passed flat for Farlongo, who was under pressure. The ball came free. The front row has got that one wrong, and now Widdop slips, gets back to his feet, still going. Gareth Widdop over halfway. He's beaten 24 of them so far. Now he's tackled. A busy run from the Dragons 5/8. Marshall for Dugan. Jack DeBellin.
Release his leg, sorry. Hold!
Down the short side, Marshall with Nightingale wrapping around. Dugan straightened in field. And he's tackled by Rocco. Marshall passing for Tyson Frizzell. He goes on to Stanley. Now Widdop. Beale. Long for Morris. And Morris is accommodated. Dane Gagai and Chanel Matatia, the tacklers. From one side of the field to the other. Will they swing it back? It's Merrin. Another offload. Cooper dummies and runs. And the Englishman is stopped 8 out. The final play now. Marshall, Grubbers looking for DeBellin. Benji didn't kick it as he would have liked. And Newcastle hold on.
And Roberts grabs it and it's taken out by Big Willie. I think Willie Mason was in there doing the right thing, trying to get there to cover up the kick. Roberts got there first, but was taken out by his teammate. Good start to the game. Both sides keen to throw the ball around, and I can see already some of the defence is out on its feet because of how much the ball is being shifted from side to side.
Gagai almost got away. It was Cooper pulling him down from behind. Jack DeBellin or Cooper penalised, too long on the tackle player.
Come on, Gianni. Adam.
You expect these sides to move the ball in the final round with finals out of reach and with some form on the wing. Morris and Nightingale, Chanel and Sione Matatia.
Hold Dragons. Go.
This is Robbie Rocco. Trying to provide the platform for his outside men. Waddell on to Farlongo. Travis Waddell bound for the Brisbane Broncos next season. Cuthbertson with Mason supporting. And he's tackled by Merrin and Joel Thompson. Mullen fires the ball, and it was well taken by Dane Gagai. The ball arrived fast and down low. And it was a good take. Inside the 10 now, Newcastle. Mullen. Waddell. The pass was meant for Roberts, who had to check his run. Now Rocco, and they lose ground on that play. Roberts running for a long time before grubbering. Beale with some work to do. He's pulled back into the in goal, and the Knights force a goal line dropout.
Bo Scott, was it? I mean, he is so strong. It's one of the best parts of his game, how he can just manhandle opposition players. And Jared Beale, I thought was odds on to get out here, but then Bo Scott, you'll see, just rips him back. Just here, up over the top. That's just brute strength. I reckon he's been pretty much the Knights' best this year and most consistent.
Well, he's recently re-signed until the end of 2017. What a get for Newcastle, Bo Scott. As Rocco goes across field, and he's tackled by Stanley.
Robbie, use your foot, Robbie. Good work, Robbie.
Waddell for Mason. And a fend! A big fend on Joel Thompson! Here's Mason careering upfield. A run to lift the crowd and his teammates. Mullen for Farlongo. And he elected not to pass to Cuthbertson in support, and the whistle sounds.
That's not a play the ball. There's no play the ball here.
But it's a penalty, he's all over your leg.
I got it. He didn't play the ball.
Again, the Dragons ruled to be too long in the tackle. Their second penalty for the same reason as Farlongo. Leans into the defence and finishes a metre out. Here's Cuthbertson, good tackle. Kyle Stanley stopped a bigger man on the spot. Waddell for Mason, he passes to Mullen. Mullen dummies and runs. Jared Mullen scores. He worked his way to the in goal easily. And Adam Devcich blows Newcastle's second try.
Such a good player when he's running the football, Jared Mullen, and when he's going well, the Knights invariably win footy matches. He's a great passer and kicker, good organiser, but this is without doubt the best part of his game. Willie Mason set this up. He's winding the clock back here, Big Willie. Running freely like a winger and a centre. Light stepping his way through the defence off the back of a couple of more shots at the line and a penalty. Jared Mullen positions himself with some outside support, throws the dummy, goes himself. scores a great try, as he did last week against the Parramatta Eels. He's got one of these 4-pointers in him, hasn't he?
Gidley to make the lead 12, and they are well on the way to winning 8 of their last 11 games this season, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's a great start, isn't it, to beat that hoodoo that they have with the Dragons up here. Just on Willie Mason, we see on our screen there, and Lara made mention before the game that he's talking to a couple of clubs. Obviously won't be here at Newcastle, but we believe one of those clubs is the St George Illawarra Dragons. And forget sending your show reel to Peter Doust and Paul McGregor. Why don't you just do it on the day? And that's exactly what he did there. Great run from the big man.
And the crowd still love him. They were out of their seats urging Willie to score. He's got 1 try this season. They want a second today.
Now, I reckon we put the challenge to Jimmy Smith. He could get an answer out of Peter Doust, who's sitting in the crowd by the time the full-time whistle blows here this afternoon. What do you reckon, Jim?
Challenge accepted, Ben.
He might even carry the contract from the grandstand onto the field and have Willie sign it post-game interview.
Let me tell you one thing, he'd take a clip for his troubles too.
Here's Big Willie again. Agent fees. Mullen. A cut-out ball for Gagai and up quickly. Brett Morris shut the centre down. Mullen now. Driving the ball towards the sideline. It bounces into the in goal. And either touch or dead in goal. Almost went over the corner. Mullen frustrated with the kick. He's given St George Illawarra 7 tackles.
When you're ready, hold. Okay, come back.
The try scorer, most recently Jared Mullen, after Joseph Leilua scored the first. 12-0 Newcastle as Dugan steps out of a Robbie Rocco attempt. Farlongo makes the stop, and now Morris from dummy half. To halfway. Mike Cooper. His offload is taken by Jared Beale on the bounce. Beale playing fullback for the 4th time this season. Now Frizzell. Stanley gives it to Widdop. Long for Matautia, and Gagai is there, along with Mullen.
I noticed Chanel didn't join the gang tackle there. Stayed out on his wing.
We're waiting for the brothers to come together, and they complete by grubbering over the sideline.
It's a great story, though, isn't it? Single mum, 7 kids, I think, and at different times through their life, barely been able to scratch together 3 meals a day, and at the moment, 3 of them playing in the NRL, all out here this afternoon on different sides. I can't imagine the pride that their mother must be feeling.
That's Peter, the eldest, at 23. We've seen Chanel, there he is, at 22. He's the 2nd in the row. Pat playing New South Wales Cup for Newcastle at 21, and Sione at 18. Here's Joseph Leilua again. Tackled on halfway by Dugan. There's an injury for Leilua. That is Newcastle's chief concern.
Kirk Gidley there having a discussion with the referee about whether or not it should be a professional foul. 10 minutes in the bin. So he stays there. Joseph Leilua, his head hit the ground, and Josh Dugan felt he could take the ball out. The tackle had been completed, but you saw there that he went close to losing it, Leilua.
It's a sad way to finish game 100 indeed at NRL level. Joseph Leilua taken from the field on a Medicab, and we will check on his condition and bring you a report as soon as possible. So a long stoppage, and now play will resume. A penalty to Newcastle. We'll see them start this set 20 metres out. Farlongo. Mason. Inside the 10. Well and truly, he finishes 2 or 3 out. Behind Cuthbertson, Reynolds, a strong tackle on Tamana Tahu. Jason Nightingale doing the job for the Dragons. Roberts for Cuthbertson. Now Waddell. This is Mullen straightening. He was in similar range from which he scored his first try. An offload far longer, gives it to Cuthbertson. He gets the ball away. Now Roberts on for Tahu. What a way for Tamana to say goodbye to Newcastle. Fresh on the field and fresh over the try line. Tamana Tahu at 33 years young. And what a celebration. A basketball slam dunk.
Look, the second phase involved in this try from the Knights is sensational. So multiple offloads. It will make its way back to the centre of the field here. And then you'll see Adam Cuthbertson and a couple of other players here offload, and Jared Mullen starts it all. It'll shift back to the left off the back of this, and just when you think it's going to die, then the ball's coming out the back. And the good thing about the Knights here is they had good shape off the back of it. Tahu ends up grabbing the try, but there were numerous people that earned the right to claim that one up, the 4-pointer.
Can Kurt Gidley turn 16 into 18? Yes, he can. Well, Jimmy, how do the Dragons fight their way back into this one?
Well, I think it's the energy, enthusiasm that Ben just spoke about, and the lack of it, which is the concern. You know, you can't wait for that second half and hope that the wind is going to do the job for you, even though we saw Newcastle do that so successfully against Parramatta. But anytime you get those second phase players we saw again there from Cuthbertson and put your pressure under your defence under pressure, then you're going to struggle. I love the fact that Tamana Tahu went and spiked the ball over the crossbar. I remember seeing that when he did it as a youngster first up, and you just marvelled at his athleticism. He didn't quite get there this time, but not a bad effort.
A few more years in the legs now. The spring's a little worn as Gagai spots some room. Gets away from Matautia and Widdop. But Peter Matautia successful on second attempt. Mullen chips the ball towards Nightingale, who makes a safe catch but can't get away from Kurt Gidley. A good chase from the captain. Dugan hurled to ground by Tahu. Now Frizzell. Signed until the end of 2018 at the Dragons, Tyson Frizzell. There's Marshall. Finds Nightingale through Widdop. Now Matautia. Gagai slides across, and Beau Scott ball and all before Mullen and Gagai assist. Joel Thompson getting a penalty. That's the Dragons' first of the game.
We're into the second quarter of this match now, and Dragons are trailing by 18 points. Some of this quality field position they're about to pick up, they need to make good use of. Gareth Widdop, Benji Marshall need to get busy with no Mitch Rain there. The responsibility to create something is going to fall on their shoulders.
Thompson starts the set, and let's take this opportunity. Actually, we'll come down to Lara Pitt in a moment with an update on Joseph Leilua. As soon as the Dragons finish this set, Frizzell for Widdop. Now Marshall, quick hands, Beale. Dugan loses it behind him. Nightingale cleans up and takes the second tackle. Dugan running from dummy half. Tackled by Waddell and Rocco. In front of Leeson Armau, it's Marshall with a pass for Frizzell, and the tackle from Gidley was a good one. A try saver from the fullback. Merrin couldn't twist his way clear of Farlongo. Stanley for Widdop, who kicked the ball on the ground now, picked up by Newcastle, and Gidley will play it a metre out. Now Mason and Kyle Stanley, they exchange words. One was saying penalty to Newcastle. The other referee disagreed because of that action from Willie Mason, dragging the tackler off.
It's your penalty.
Mate, he's got no right to do it. He's got no right to do it.
So Willie goes for a breather, and the penalty goes to St George Illawarra because of Mason's actions in the tackle, according to Adam Devcich.
And they went close a couple of times there, the Dragons, so they'll be under a bit of pressure here, the Newcastle Knights. Benji Marshall and Gareth Widdop
Stay on the line here.
both look sharp.
Right there. Go.
An attacking set coming for St George Illawarra. Merrin. They send it to the right. Marshall, a long ball for Dugan. Dugan can't beat Tahu or Tyrone Roberts. Now Beale. This is Marshall just giving it to Armau, and there's a disruption in back play. There are punches raining down. Josh Dugan threw a couple. And Dugan is wild.
Indian goal, please. Indian goal, Kurt. Kurt, Indian goal, mate.
Yeah, that was a sneaky left there from Josh Dugan on Tyrone Roberts, and Roberts has retaliated, so...
Or did Tyrone throw the first one?
The first punch?
First punch from Tyrone Roberts.
Okay.
And the retaliation with interest from Dugan. Okay, so the penalty will go to the home team. And Tyrone has 10 minutes to think about it.
Well, just wait till he
He's
goes.
about to be joined by Josh Dugan.
Josh. Wait a minute.
And finally, we can go down to Lara for an update on Joseph Leilua.
Yeah, spoken to the Knights doctor. He has some good news. No serious damage for BJ Leilua, just a very nasty concussion. His entire family is actually here to celebrate his 100th game, so they were greatly concerned, but they're with him in the rooms now, nursing a bad headache.
Thank you, Lara. Here's Corbin Sims with an offload. Cuthbertson out the back to Mullen. Bo Scott runs flat and straight and almost found a way through. Peter Matautia making the tackle for the Dragons and almost conceding a penalty. Chris Houston.
Well, the tempo certainly lifted in the game.
Mullen giving it to Gidley. His pass went to ground. It was knocked on by Chanel Matautia. There was some urgency in that attack from Newcastle.
Well, he played right at the line, Jared Mullen, and the space was there. So he goes right to the line, which puts Kurt Gidley under a bit of pressure. He wasn't as deep as he needed to be, but got it through the hands nonetheless. And if Chanel Matautia makes a clean pickup, I think he's got an open line in front of him.
Jimmy Smith, these clubs have a great rivalry over the decades, from Newcastle to Illawarra, from Newcastle to St George Illawarra, and it's on show early in this one.
Well, that might have been just the injection of enthusiasm that the Dragons needed. I love the way that Adam Devcich handled it, to be honest. Two blokes in the bin. I think he got that exactly right. And a strong talking to the captain and saying, we're not going to have this. I'd hate to see this game blighted by indiscretions like that. I think the attacking football on offer so far has been great, and I want to see more of it.
He's spot on. Just put him in the bin, get on with the game and play some footy. They'll be back.
St George Illawarra need a comeback. Down 18-0. 3 tries to block as Benji Marshall goes flat for Joel Thompson, who has signalled his intentions to see out the final 2 years at St George Illawarra. He picked up an injury in that tackle and is slow back to his feet.
That's what we last tackle. Joel Thompson's got the ball. We've had 5. That's what we last.
Get square.
Joel Thompson.
No. Behind you, mate. Jared, behind.
Good, mate. Okay, this is
With all the troubles Newcastle have had at NRL level this season, it's worth mentioning that their under-20s team earlier today wrapped up the Holden Cup minor premiership as that bomb floated for a long time. Here's Widdop, still the last. Cole Stanley looking for numbers out to the right where the Dragons have a couple. Marshall runs inside the 20, still going. The offload for Nightingale, who put it down. It was building with so much promise, but they couldn't complete. And as we head towards the half-hour mark, the difference stays 18.
Oh, that was looking pretty. You're right, it was building towards something special, and Benji Marshall racing across the field. You got the sense there was either a big sidestep or a flick pass coming.
Robbie, use your foot, mate.
Oh, he held that back. I mean, if
Robbie, make sure you use your foot.
it went just a tad in front of Jason Nightingale, so he couldn't make the catch. But if he nails that, that's just one for the ages. He's such a skillful player, isn't he?
Hasn't missed a game since he returned from rugby and joined St George Illawarra. It was a miserable return against Parramatta when they were beaten 30-0, and that's Tahu putting it down. But Benji Marshall improving each week after that, and here's more assistance for the Dragons.
Back here, Robbie. Robbie, back here, mate.
Can't pull him back to ground.
He comes through, mate.
Yep.
Having trailed the penalty count early 3-0, it's closed to 4-3. Jack de Belin. Merrin on to Marshall, and now Gareth Widdop. This is Beale, long for Brett Morris, and Morris over in the corner again. Try number 14 in 2014. That's a spark the Dragons need.
That was wonderfully constructed. This is every player running the right lines. Benji Marshall going right up to the defensive line, so too Gareth Widdop, and what it does is it holds up the defence so they can't push off. You pass too early, the defence can just slide, but in this instance the Dragons on this shift using a couple of second man plays, everyone does the right thing, plays their role to perfection, which means Brett Morris is the man left out there on his lonesome on the wing.
Gareth Widdop starts it at the right hand upright, and it faded slightly. 14 the difference. Sideline Jimmy Smith.
Isn't it funny how you always notice the one short in defence and not necessarily in attack when there's a couple of guys in the sin bin? They just tried to hold their line and maybe even advance a little bit there, Dane Gagai and Chanel Matautia, but the threat on the outside of Morris was always in the back of his mind. He knew as soon as that ball was passed, he couldn't get to him. What a finisher he is. He's great to see him in red and white, but let's hope he stays there as we see the ball out on the full, Matty.
A mistake from the Knights at the kickoff. Too long.
I'll go to the 10.
And St George Illawarra will get a penalty on halfway and can come straight back on the attack.
And that's how rugby league tends to operate these days. You have sides with big chunks of momentum. They've opted just to take the tap here.
Will Matthews, the man carrying the ball.
Makes a half break too.
Marshall rolls it off the fingers for Jack de Belin. He goes back to Kyle Stanley. Nightingale towards centre field. This is Marshall. On to Matthews again. Stanley. Marshall this time an inside ball for Merrin. And they're working their way closer. Closer to that goal line. 5 metres out. Stanley long. This is Widdop. Out for Matautia, who gets away. Goes to Morris. Is it a double in a blink of an eye?
Trench. We have tackle 5. We have a try.
Well, Peter Matautia does fantastically well here to get himself between defenders and throw the pass out to his winger. It's going to be a question of whether or not Brett Morris, he takes out the corner post if his feet stay in the air while he plants the ball. So the contact is good. Do his feet stay in the air? No. I'm going to say his left knee's on the ground before the ball hits the deck.
And elbow possibly as well.
Jared Mullen, it is racing across to make the tackle, and that shot won't tell us much. It's this other shot. Yeah, left elbow, left knee, I think, make contact outside of the field of play. or the sideline before the ball actually gets grounded. So this will be no try.
Well, touch in goal line.
These two flankers are freaks, aren't they? Jason Nightingale and Brett Morris, some of the things they can do.
So the on-field decision overruled. Brett Morris wouldn't have known whether he scored or not.
I think he was still a bit dazed and winded from the contact from Jared Mullen. So well done to the Knights 5'8".
Let's go.
Both teams still playing with 12. Tyrone Roberts, Josh Dugan in the sin bin for fighting. And Rocco. The bad boys are due back shortly as Houston is tackled 5 short of halfway. Clydesdale on to Cuthbertson. Now Mullen, long, and there's a bit of room for Chanel Matautia, who straightens and gets to the 20-metre line. Mullen sends it towards the other Matautia, Sione. Now Mullen goes back the other way. Across field and tackled by Peter Matautia. Thank goodness they're all going by the same surname now. Here's Beau Scott walking his way to the verge of the in goal. And he's been held up.
Yeah, I got held up. Okay.
I don't think he gets it down, but, well, you're not going to see from that angle, but he was getting awfully close. He was still inching forward as he was coming down. Get a better look here. Lower. Oh.
And the on-field decision stands.
And I'm happy enough with that.
10 minutes almost up. Mullen across field. He measured that kick looking for Gidley, who got there, but so did Nightingale. He marks in goal and can come back with a quick tap and go. The support there from Benji Marshall. But he didn't have the acceleration to get away from Clydesdale, who was quick thinking and chased well. Now Will Matthews, the Dragons on the front foot. Less than 5 left in the first half. Bronson Harrison loses the ball straight into the clutches of Robbie Rocco. Now Tamana Tahu flicks it out the back, looking for Sione Matautia. Marshall picks it up. He can run away, except for the whistle in background.
He is playing a bit of basketball. Tamana. Okay, so the referee's ruled that the Knights player has been tackled without the ball, and lucky for the Knights because the pass from Tahu was erratic. Yep, tackle without the ball. Jack DeBellin it is on Sione Matautia.
Corbin Sims. Steve Blocker-Roach has seen a few forwards cross his radar over the years, but he really rates this man, Corbin
right?
Sims.
Brothers don't go too bad either, do they?
No, we saw that last night. Blocker a big fan of Corbin Sims as Mullen goes to Gidley. This is Gagai, who had to reach for the ball. Now he comes back across field. Stopped by Kyle Stanley. And Leeson Armau. Clydesdale. Roberts. Sims. He's tackled 10 metres out. 3 tries to 1 so far in the first half, and Sims slow back to his feet.
He's up now. Nice and close up here, boys. Lock in there, Marcus.
Josh Dugan forcing the neck down there of Corbin Sims. Looked accidental to me, so it's going to be play on.
Roberts dummied inside. Even the outside players overran him. Now Mullen on to Gagai. A little skip across field. Gidley stabs at the ball again, and it lands just underneath the crossbar, and Jared Beale with no option takes it dead. So Gidley forces a goal line dropout.
It'll be 13 aside for the final 3 minutes nearly. Tyrone Roberts and Josh Dugan back on the field, and the Knights haven't looked as sharp without their halfback.
Gareth Widdop sends it 42 metres, and Corbin Sims can pick his defensive mark, but slides into the line instead. A damp morning in Newcastle, and Houston inside the 20. Gidley. 5 metres out Newcastle. They set up for something on the left, the open side of the field. It's with Mullen now. Tyrone Roberts joins in. A cutout ball for Tahu. Tapped on for Sione Matautia. Tamana Tahu scoring tries and setting them up for generation next. Sione Matautia.
We have tackle 4. We have try. Review touchline and grounding.
I just wonder, Josh Dugan and Jared Beale, I think it was, were both over there remonstrating to the referee to have a look at something. This is going to be close. I'll have to see that again.
Left knee is what we need to watch.
No. Oh, and left
foot.
toe. Left toe. Close. No, that's a try. You can see their ball grounded. The last frame shows that Sione Matautia gets it down. The Knights are going to get another try here. My question is, do you think when the players from the defending side rush over to challenge the referee to look at something, it actually works?
Kurt Gidley out to make the difference. 20, probably at half-time. From the sideline, bringing it back and lifting the flags. 24-4. He would have copped it in those backyard games, wouldn't he, little brother?
I don't know.
But I reckon he gave as good as he got, if his early NRL career is any indication. There's the end of the first 40. Fiery at times, filled with 5 tries. Newcastle well on top. The Knights 24 lead St George Illawarra 4. Joseph Leilua gave Newcastle a strong start to this game, their last of 2014. Jared Mullen kept the good times coming today. And Tamana Tahu in his final hurrah as a Knight with a slam dunk. They haven't quite slam dunked the Dragons yet, but Newcastle right on track for a 5th straight home win. It is Old Boys Day, being celebrated in conjunction with the Mark Hughes Foundation, and Mark is speaking with Lara Pitt.
Yeah, that's right. Mark Hughes, 2-time premiership winner with the Newcastle Knights, here to support your team today, Mark, but also the foundation. Tell us a bit about what you've been doing today.
Yeah, special day today, Lara. Knights Old Boys Day and also Mark Hughes Foundation Day. We're set up to look at brain cancer. 12 months ago I had an operation, and I've since gone through radiation and chemotherapy, and I'm here today to support brain cancer awareness.
I'm sure you've had plenty of support. How can people get involved?
It's been awesome today. People have been donating as they come in. We had a lovely halftime ceremony with victims and families that have fallen to this disease. Brain cancer is the biggest cancer killer of people under 10-year-old, as well as people under 40, so it's a really bad disease. So look up the Mark Hughes Foundation website and you can get involved that way.
All right, thanks for your time and best of luck with it. Thanks.
Thanks, Lara. Thanks for the support.
Yeah, it was great to see Mark Hughes striding happy and healthy into Hunter Stadium today. His former club, or his former club mates, are in a strong position right now, ahead by 20 points. And starting the second half, Corbin Sims overran Robbie Rocco, who took the kickoff. Have the Dragons got to come back in them. It's the same halftime margin they encountered against Brisbane, 24-4. There was some fight in the Red V that night. Is there this afternoon? Tyrone Roberts passes for Tahu. Clydesdale out of dummy half to Houston, now Cuthbertson.
He's still got tackle 4. Hands away!
Beau Scott running off his hooker, and he's put on his back by Will Matthews and Joel Thompson. This is the last. Mullen has it. He goes high. It skews off the outside of his boot. Tricky to take, but no mistake from Jason Nightingale. Jared Beale. Dugan slipping, not the first player to slip today. The surface affected by a bit of rain. And Leeson Armau. A strong run from Armau, taking 3 Knights with him for part of the way. And it's Shane Pumapy on in jumper 14. Kyle Stanley started at hooker in the absence of Mitch Rain, and now it's Marshall kicking back across his body and sliding onto the ball. A good take from Chanel Matautia.
Tackle Will Matthews now. Hard right side. Did you got Chanel?
Sione Matautia.
Joel Thompson up and away.
The Knights playing with 16 men after the injury. The head knocked at Joseph Leilua, but it is good to see him on his feet and watching from the rooms. He'll be cheering in a moment if Dane Gagai keeps going.
That was some sort of move from Dane Gagai there. So light on his feet.
One centre in the rooms, the other on the field. Now a wide ball for Tahu to get his second. Oh, Tamana winding back the clock at Hunter Stadium. No need to go upstairs. Watch the celebration this time, Tamana.
He would have run through the fence there if he kept going, I reckon. Tamana Tahu. It's a great pass from Jared Mullen. So it was a break from Dane Gagai. Look at that move he puts Will Matthews there, straight through the middle of the ruck. Then he takes it down the right, which allows the Knights to set up to go left. Roberts to Mullen. Have a go at this pass. Out in front of Tamana Tahu, allows him to charge onto the ball, and with the Dragons' defence retreating, sort of half even looks like passing, and the seed of doubt gets planted. He just raced through the space and got himself a second 4-pointer for the afternoon.
28-4. He's getting away from the Dragons now as Newcastle look to match last week's points haul. Gidley trying to take 2 more off an uprights and through. 30-4, 26 the difference. Can they beat last week's 42 points? For a halftime report, let's go firstly to Lara.
Yeah, just from Wayne Bennett, not a lot said, but just get back to what the Knights did early in that first half, and they've done exactly that. He just wants to see them stop the silly offloads, the silly penalties, and his words, don't get frustrated. Perhaps that's directed at Tyrone Roberts after that scene being. Over to you, Jimmy.
Thanks, Lara. From a Dragons point of view, Paul McGregor saying he needs to improve line speed and better finishes to set, so that's probably the worst possible way for them to start this second half. I do know that Paul McGregor doesn't want to make any comment about the Willie Mason issue for next year. I can confirm that. Still working on the challenge with Peter Doust as Josh Dugan is down and hopefully not out, Matty.
Corbin Sims was the man who did the damage, Jimmy. He thundered into Josh Dugan, and that's the result.
Check this if you get any contact.
Joseph Leilua has already been taken from the field, and you can expect Josh Dugan to follow suit.
We'll have to get a different shot there because that all looks clean. He's just, he's got himself down in an awkward position, Josh Dugan, and he kind of half raises his forearm. There's nothing illegal in that from Corbin Sims.
Well, Josh Dugan wants to stay on the field, and the trainers are happy to let him do so. Interesting.
Very interesting.
He was clearly affected, but has shaken it off fast enough to be allowed to stay on. Cuthbertson. I'm a long way from being a health professional, Ben, but I thought he was sure money to head off under the concussion rule.
Look, one of the 5 markers, which I think if you exhibit any of them on the field after a head knock, is being dazed and confused.
Well,
and that looked dazed and confused to me.
For a moment there, it was Mad Monday already for Josh Dugan. Here's Beale. Behind Thompson, it's Matautia. He stays on his feet and plays it 30 metres out. Brett Morris quickly out of dummy half. He takes 12 metres before being tackled by Houston and Sims. Marshall. offloading for Jack DeBellin, and he's grimaced in pain and clutched at a knee. They would have crossed paths during their under-20s career, Clydesdale and DeBellin.
Maybe it's because Clydesdale had hold of DeBellin's leg when he grimaced in pain, worried that he might have twisted it in some form.
Jack DeBellin from Munro, as Jimmy Smith proudly tells us, and Adam Clydesdale, funnily enough, a Scone thoroughbred.
Now, I might get this wrong, but I think Jimmy was telling before the game, Fred DeBellin, grandfather of Jack, played the 1948 Kangaroos. Jimmy, am I on the money there?
Spot on, Benny.
Thank you.
The completion now comes back to Marshall, the man who started it with a high kick.
Knock on Newcastle.
And Newcastle will get the ball.
Newcastle.
No, it's a knock-on against the Knights.
One of your blokes.
In the pass is knocked down.
We're going in here for a scrum. The Newcastle knock on.
I got the scrum up.
Okay. In here? Yep. You guys are defending in Newcastle.
Jason Nightingale took the ball and somehow got an arm free and a pass away for Benji Marshall, the man who'd kicked. And the knock-on.
Arms over.
Chris Houston there saying maybe the right arm that was outstretched to try and grab it. I don't know what was better here, the pass from Nightingale or the step. And then the attempted flick from Benji to go back where he came from.
Let's go, boys.
That's some skillful footy right
We need
there.
a lock. We need a lock. We need a lock. Go ahead, Roddy. Arms over, boys. Heads in, boys.
Hold it.
Feed. Come on, out.
Widdup. Dugan with Beale sweeping around. Matautia joins in. He gets the ball away. Picked up by Beale. Back to Morris now. Widdup. He's closed down 11 metres out. Pumapi marshalling the troops to his right. He feeds Thompson. Armau. Leeson Armau. Corbin Sims took his legs and made the tackle. Now Widdup back from where the ball arrived. And he can't get away from Clydesdale. 11 metres out. Pumapi passes for Matthews. And he's wrapped up by Halston and Scott. This is the last. Widdup. He passes for Peter Matautia. A delicate little grubber into the in goal. Brett Morris was trying to weave his way through heavy traffic. It took too long, and the Knights could watch the ball go dead.
That was really classy there from Kirk Gidley. He knew that he had a number of his own teammates that were going to help shield Brett Morris off the ball, buying the time to watch it run dead.
Corbin Sims. He's done a bit of damage since coming on via the bench. Roberts inside for Houston. Chris Houston and David Farlongo hoping to stay on at Newcastle, but negotiations with a bit of way to go yet. Today, definitely the last hurrah at the Knights for Willie Mason, Adam Cuthbertson, Travis Waddell and Tamana Tahu. The latter celebrating with 2 tries. Cuthbertson, a cutout ball for Tahu. Beautiful touch. And Matautia, he's tackled 10 into opposition territory.
Tamana Tahu is winding the clock back.
Mullen kicks towards open territory, turning Morris around. He's under pressure from Chanel. Matautia swiped at the ball. It's still in the in goal. Gagai is claiming a try. So too Bo Scott. One of them might have come up trumps.
Church, tackle 4.
Yeah.
I have no try. We got grounded by the Dragons. Can you please confirm that?
Dave Munro says no try. He'll ask Matt Chicken and Steve Folkes to confirm.
I've got no read on this except to say instincts tell me it can't be a try, because Brett Morris is too experienced to let something like this happen. So he's got plenty of time here to either shield this across the sideline, bat it dead if he wants to. So I don't think Brett Morris grounds it there. Do they both run over it then? Matautia and Beale, so they've all missed it. Does Morris ground it? Not there. Not there. Can't do it with your knee.
No, you can do it with your torso or arms,
So
but
this
not
is
a
still
knee.
alive. Jared Beale, clean miss. Who's that coming across? Dane Gagai, clean miss, and then reaches back. But is there any part of Dane Gagai over the in-goal line? So he's grounded it, that's okay.
We're getting there slowly, Ben.
Okay,
We're getting there.
so it's back in. So there's nothing of Dane Gagai, so he misses it here, but he'll come back for a second go. There's nothing out. No, that's a try.
You've got a green light for Dane Gagai. So do the video referees. Ben Eichen playing Horatio Kane and coming up with the right answer. Gidley from the western sideline. This one across the face. The margin is 30 points. Jimmy Smith.
And there's 30 minutes, so the Dragons got to work hard with this breeze at their back to try and make that up. I'm a great fan of Dane Gagai. I love the way he plays his football. When he gets on the end of those long passes from Jared Mullen, he's fantastic to watch with his dancing feet. That is the easiest try he will ever score in his rugby league career. We didn't see any of those great skills that he has on offer.
No, not one for the highlight reel. Corbin Sims arriving at the defensive line with pace. This time, Dugan makes the tackle without injury or a head knock. Rocco. This is Farlongo. There's good contact from de Belin around the midriff to Farlongo. Roberts. Mullen. Flat for Beau Scott. Sims. There were numbers sweeping around behind Beau Scott, but the pass was flat to the forward. Mullen completes by kicking to Jason Nightingale. And he's tackled by one of his former teammates. Morris runs himself from dummy half. Now Jared Beale. Newcastle setting up this big lead by scoring 24 first-half points, in total contrast to their recent half-time hauls. Marshall. Dugan comes back the other way and takes a tackle from Clydesdale, but he gets the ball free. And Pummeby can play it. This is the last. Marshall stepping close to the ruck now, passing off Beau Scott, back to Jared Beale, and the tackle count restarts. A bit of luck for the Dragons. Joel Thompson stopped by Clydesdale. Now Widdop. Flat for Will Matthews. He looks to offload. Pummeby catches it with one hand. His ball for de Belin came at the same time as a great tackle arrived. Tamana Tahu doing everything today. And de Belin's been stung.
That was heavy contact from Tamana Tahu. He raced in from the flank and just got his shoulders. I thought it was the rib cage, but he's not grabbing between his legs. No, we can clear that one out. He's grabbing around the midsection there. Look at this.
Classic blindside.
Oh, right shoulder, right in the rib cage.
Okay.
Right, tackle two.
Two tackles.
Tackle two. Hold, go, two.
Marshall for Armau. He's a tough dragon, Jack de Belin. Back into the line now, the attacking line, albeit on a wing. Marshall. Had Harrison waiting, but Marshall took the tackle. He's 5 metres out. Pummeby, flat for Will Matthews. There's another offload from Matthews, back to Marshall. He backs back. Pummeby loops around. Tahu completes the tackle. Dugan out of dummy half. He'll have a crack himself. That's the last. A handover, 1 metre out.
I don't know, it was braver there running it on the fifth or going back to where Jack de Belin just played the ball. So still 30 points to make up here for the Dragons, and they need to own the tempo for the remainder of this match, and it needs to start with their defence.
Which isn't working right now. Chanel Matautia still running. Just over halfway, he's stopped by Thompson. Mullen, Gidley, and Gagai. Can't get the ball away. He's stopped by Peter Matautia and Brett Morris. David Farlongo. Mullen. With one try today, he loses the ball. And Matthews fires it towards Widdop, on for Peter Matautia. He was Matautia for so long, but only because he thought it was easiest for everyone else to say. When Brothers stood strong and said, we're Matautia, Pete said, I'm happy to jump on board.
Okay, so he was just being nice, Peter, to everyone else?
He was. Cooper. Now Trent Merrin. With an offload for Widdop, and Houston makes a good tackle, diving around the legs. A tackle that had to be made. Marshall threatens to go long, now pulls the trigger on a pass for Nightingale. And he's tackled 15 out. Beale wants it left quickly. Marshall runs that way and kicks, looking for Matthews, who ran into some traffic, and Houston can't get back into the field of play. The goal line dropout will be the restart.
I know Paul McGregor's trying to reshape Benji Marshall's game, and I get that, and I think it's the right move, but there's still so much brilliance in Benji, isn't there? He's still got plenty of speed. The footwork hasn't left him. He's skillful with the ball. The temptation when you can do the kind of things that he can do would be to do them all the time, and that's the next phase in his career, how he balances being the senior playmaker, the general of this Dragons side.
Playing his 15th game since returning. There's Jack de Billen. A kind Paul McGregor giving him a breather on the sideline, and he's still affected, isn't he?
I thought he was about to go again there.
Tamana Tahu tackle. Merrin.
Tackle one. Trent's got to play. Tackle one.
David, move up. David, follow up.
Trent. Play the ball.
This is Cooper to Will Matthews. Only 4 points today for the Dragons. Now Widdop. Marshall gives it to Beale. He drops it. Picked up by Dugan. And will come over for a scrum.
That was a really good play. They caught the Knights out there numbers-wise. Come back across the ruck with a couple of decoy runners. Get it, Widdop to Marshall, and the pass to Marshall was just a tad off. So here's Widdop coming back across the ruck, and Benji straightens it up, drags in all that outside defence from the Knights, and there's a space there.
So Jack de Billen improving on the sideline. Jimmy Smith, I know that he's a player you have very high regard for.
I think he's an outstanding defender. Technique gets him into a little bit of trouble at times with his lifting, but yeah, really tough boy from Cootamundra, and you'd love to see him emulate his grandfather that Ben mentioned a little bit earlier. I know that when I was doing that sort of thing when I was a little fella, my mum used to give me some flat lemonade and a wet washer, so maybe I'll go over and offer that to Jack.
I'd like to see the response.
Yeah, he's just throwing off because he still hasn't been able to track down Peter Dowse to get Willie a contract.
True, and working on that. As I said earlier, I know Paul McGregor does not want to answer that question.
A bit more push and shove in this one. The first half was fire and brimstone at one stage, with Dugan and Tyrone Roberts exchanging blows, or at least trying to, and being sin-binned as a result.
Lock in, Josh.
Mason. Lifted in the tackle, but put down kindly. Clydesdale. 2 NRL games last year. This is his 22nd in a breakout season. 2014, good for Adam Clydesdale. Now Mullen.
4 tackles. Come on, left side. Hold.
Gidley gives it on for Tyrone Roberts. Now Tamana Tahu with 2. He offloads for Sione Matautia. Looking for his second. This is the final play, Newcastle. Roberts to Mullen. And Mullen will kick across field towards Chanel Matautia, but above them all, Brett Morris comes down cleanly and gets a penalty. Well, that's too slow to release the ball in the tackle.
Yeah, better work there too from Brett Morris. That's what we've become accustomed to. Bloke who I believe to be the best rugby league winger in the world, and flew high there. And now we've moved into the final quarter of this match. As I said earlier, this is the Dragons' opportunity to lift the tempo and get themselves back into this game.
There's a long way to go, but the Knights have leaked the most points in the final 20 minutes of games this season. It will have to be a flood for the Dragons to even be a hope. Merrin. But their fans want some more highlights before 2014 is done. In just over 19 minutes, here's Widdop having it land just in the field of play. It was pinpoint from Widdop, maybe closer than he would have liked to go.
I reckon they could do with a couple of extra big boppers. So Dan Hunt's out injured at the moment. He'll obviously come back into the side. Mitch Rain's not there. Not that he's a big bopper, but he's certainly an important part of this forward pack. If they bolstered their ranks in the middle, you know, there's enough talent in this back line to lay on some points. I know Paul McGregor's only just signed the contract. Lara pointed out he hasn't yet been able to have a look over the salary cap, the roster, get his fingerprints on the list, but he won't be far off if it's not already happening. Getting out into the marketplace, looking to bolster what he's used this year to ready himself for 2015.
Mason. Willie's being told to play the ball. Peter Matautia says, come on, Willie, get on with it. Now, Mullen and Tyrone Roberts are involved before Rocco takes the tackle. Mullen kicks, skewing the ball off the outside of his foot. It was inside the 40 according to the referees, but not close to a 40-20. You mentioned some of the big boppers that the Dragons need to have on the field. Well, Dan Hunt, as you mentioned, is one of them. But Lara, you got an injury update on Dan before kickoff?
Yeah, I spoke with Dan just before kickoff. He's been in and out of the side all year, struggling with injury, and I just asked him what his plans were, how he was travelling. He just said he has been struggling with a back problem, but he won't be having any surgery. He said he'll just be resting up and be ready for a big pre-season, hopefully a big 2015.
Okay, well, the completions from both teams today, good. Newcastle up above 80%. Also enjoyed 54% of the ball. And they are way ahead on the scoreboard. 34-4. Joel Thompson takes a tackle, 10 short of halfway. Mike Cooper. Merrin passing. And the ball finds Marshall. On to Jared Beale. Mason Nightingale. Wrapped up by Rocco and Tahu. Will Matthews now. Marshall threatens to pass now. He does flat for Merrin. The ball went forward though, off Merrin, who couldn't keep control. It was a strong tackle from Beau Scott.
Yeah, it looks like it could get a bit loose here now from the Dragons. They understand that 30 points, just a little over 15 minutes to go, is probably too big an ask. So they're going to try things they wouldn't normally try, which is no-look passes on the fifth tackle. The blokes that aren't ready for it, and if it starts to break down from here, it maybe could get ugly, because the Knights could run in a couple of extra tries, and that's not what the Dragons fans or this Dragons team wants in terms of how they finish the year.
Far long go. He plays it now, and Cuthbertson just short of halfway. He's had a strong season, Adam Cuthbertson. And it's going to finish with a win. Travis Waddell finds Cuthbo again onto Willie Mason. The offload gets to Jared Mullen eventually. Another ball on. Tipped on by Tyrone Roberts. It comes for Robbie Rocco. Not much caution being taken by Newcastle, and Tamata Tahu looked on the inside. He needed a support player. It's on the ground. Dugan picks it up, and the whistle brings him back.
Easy, boys.
He's called a knock-on from the Dragons here. Tamata Tahu does really well to get himself between defenders. Jason Nightingale, they're saying, in the act of making the tackle, I think, come off his left arm. So the Knights are going to get the feed.
Adam Devcich was asked by the Dragons, why was that a knock-on? And he responded by saying it because it came off the arm and went forward.
I reckon it's got to be at least 100 conversations that these officials have with players across the course of the 80 minutes.
How many of them do they enjoy? Here's Jared Mullen inside the 10. Hunting 40 points, Travis Waddell. He's forced back a couple of metres out. 40 points for consecutive games, mind you. Gidley. A sloppy play from Newcastle. They have 3 more up their sleeve in this set. In great position. Cuthbertson to Mason. He gets the ball away. Rocco goes long. Long to Sione Matatia. A double for the 18-year-old. The baby of the family.
Give him a try, okay.
And it will be blown.
Was that Tyrone Roberts that throws that pass? It fooled Jason Nightingale. He was filthy on himself, the Dragons winger. So Willie Mason gets it back to Tyrone Roberts. And he skips 2 of his own men to land it on the chest of Sione Matautia. And Jason Nightingale thinks it's going to go to Tahu. He races in, but the pass beats him.
Into the off-season, having won 8 of their last 11. They joke, where's the wild card? Here's Gidley bringing it back perfectly, 40-4. And Jimmy Smith, we've spoken about the future for St George Illawarra, but what about Newcastle with their under-20s team going well, the minor premiers, and some emerging stars now at NRL level?
Well, I was going to make mention of the New South Wales Cup side as well in relation to Tyrone Roberts. Tyrone's played every game this year on the back of that breakout last month of the competition last year when they nearly made their way to the grand final. And Michael Dobson's been there playing in VB, in New South Wales Cup, and absolutely braining them, but he can't get a look in because of the good form of Tyrone Roberts and Jared Mullen. And the crowd is responding here today too, Matty. We just heard the big Willie Mason chant go up, and they're having a great time with it, and they should enjoy this last 10 minutes.
Yes, Tyrone Roberts forcing Michael Dobson to go back to England. Michael came home to Australia for another crack at NRL level, but he's back to the UK in 2015. Travis Waddell, as mentioned, heading north to Brisbane. Mason playing like a 5'8". He finds his 5'8" in Mullen. Big Willie wants a try, and the crowd would love that. Waddell's running from dummy half. 25 metres out. Here's the final Newcastle play in this set. It's Mullen. He'll take a point, thank you very much. He drills it. And misses. It looked good off the boot.
It did. He's looking good, Jared Mullen, isn't he? Running the football, directing traffic. Kids are enjoying it, or they've been distracted by something.
What chance that ball coming back? Dugan. That's the first tackle. Now Jason Nightingale.
Just to build on your point about the Newcastle Knights' bright future, I mean, this side at the moment raced in 40 points, up by 36 in a dominant display for the second week in a row. Missing Jeremy Smith, Kate Snowden, Aquila Uarte and James McManus, who will all come back into the team next year. Under 20s just taking out the minor premiership. The New South Wales Cup side sitting second on the competition table. It's in pretty good nick, isn't it?
Indeed. Rick Stone will like what he sees as that kick from Joel Thompson skews across field. Here's a race. Sione Matautia, the cover comes across. Now he gives the ball. Tahu cuts back in field. He wants some room and takes the tackle 27 metres out. Gidley. They shift to the right. Gagai, nice offload to Chanel Matautia. And he's tackled by his brother Peter. Little fend on the brother as well. There they are. Wouldn't be the first time they've exchanged some blows. Tyrone Roberts finds Rocco running hard onto the ball. Will be hard to hold out here, Newcastle, as Mullen, Grubbers looking for a chasing Chris Houston, instead getting through and picking the ball up. Kurt Gidley scores another Newcastle try.
Church. We have tackle 4. We have a try. We need to check a possible obstruction. We need to check the grounding. And we need to check the boot from the St George defender.
That's a lot to check.
Lucky we've got time off.
It all looked good to me at first glance.
I didn't see a problem.
Jared Mullen spots some space in behind the defensive line. Jared Beale late getting across. Chris Houston's the first chaser on the scene. It'll hit the post and then it'll come back and find its way into the hands of Kurt Gidley. No obstruction there. Gidley looks like he almost loses control as he makes his way towards the line, but we'll need another camera angle to pick that up.
Well, Chris Houston was pursuing the ball and then he couldn't disappear, so there's no obstruction. Jared Beale,
he's lost control of that there, Kurt Gidley.
Did he lose control because there was a lunge with the boot from Jared Beale? Well, given that it was a awarded try, it has to be without doubt that he lost the ball. And it is.
What are you looking at me for?
A third explanation. I'm with Kurt on that one.
You win some, you lose some, Matt.
Okay. It's irrelevant with the scoreboard reading the way it is. And now, good to see Jack de Belin back on and fit after a heavy knock, courtesy Tamana Tahu. Here's Trent Merrin. Thompson inside. And Houston makes the tackle on Jared Beale. Tyson Frizzell gallops out of dummy half. And he takes some stopping. Corbin Sims, Houston and Cuthbertson do the job. This is the last for St George Illawarra. Marshall kicks and he doesn't get it as he needs to. It's picked up and Kurt Gidley can run. Tackled by de Belin and Armau. Tamana Tahu. Can he finish with a hat-trick? 2 in the bank already. 5.5 to play. Sione Matautia, another chasing 3. Last week it was Chanel with a hat-trick. Cuthbertson lost the ball as he tried to position his arm for an offload.
Kyle,
Try to offload. Knock off. Loose carry. We're ruling loose carry out.
He's a bit dirty on himself there, Adam Cuthbertson, but he's been really good today, hasn't he? I love the variety he brings when he plays through the middle. He's got a great offload. He can play before the line. He's got good footwork. He's not got great speed. I mean, that's one thing I've picked up. He gets himself in the clear. It's not like he's going to race away, but geez, he can be dangerous in and around the play the ball.
I've enjoyed watching him this season, Adam Cuthbertson. The only area where he's not great is in his try scoring this season. Still on 0 and rapidly running out of time to break the duck. David Farlongo also yet to open his account on the try scoring front. Widdop flat for Joel Thompson. Well tackled by Mullen and Waddell. Widdop to Matautia. Peter. Cuthbertson eventually releases. A Widdop. Now Stanley back on. This is Marshall. Calling Nightingale underneath. He twists clear of one. Fends fear of Willie. Brett Morris. He gets the ball away. Widdop stops and goes back towards the open field. Kyle Stanley claps on the pace, and Stanley bursts through for St George Illawarra's second try. That's his first for the year in his 9th appearance in first grade. Kyle Stanley. More
known as a centre 5'8", and we actually questioned how we'd go at dummy half. Well, this is not the kind of work you'd be used to from a number 9. More reminiscent of his 5'8" centre days, and he just basically gets the ball here standing still, and it's a bit of a stop and go. Throws a dummy. It'll come back through, and then the space will open up. I mean, it's just unsettled the Knights' defence all this second phase, and chain passing, and with some support on the outside, he just spots the smallest of gaps and races through to score.
Gareth Widdop shooting for double figures. And he takes 2 points in what has been a strong season for Widdop. The rise for Alex Round was a standout memory. And here in numbers again today, despite conditions being far from ideal. Here's Tyson Frizzell. Now Merrin. Joel Thompson. Widdop gives it for DeBellin. 2 minutes left to play.
Travis. That's okay, mate. That's all okay.
Marshall. The inside ball for Beale was a nice one. Marshall gets busy again, racing to the short side. Instead, they come to the open and kick across field for Peter Matautia, who catches and throws it back infield in one moment. Well, one movement, and Merrin can't get away, so a changeover 20 metres out.
Get on top, Jack. Lost the square, Peter gets square.
Kurt Gidley. He's played half, he's played 5'8", he's played hooker, today fullback. And the offload from Cuthbertson eventually gets to Roberts. Robbie Rocco lost it forward into Jason Nightingale. He throws it behind him. It's all a bit scrappy to finish this one. Dugan away, he kicks, it's taken. Now a chip chase by Tyrone Roberts. And all the structures and the guidelines have gone out the window. With a minute left in the season, it's all about having fun.
You think that last chip from Tyrone Roberts might have been for the old boys?
I reckon.
I don't think I've ever seen that. Rubber into a chip from different teams in the space for about a second.
Widdop. Cross field. Here's Dugan. He throws it to Nightingale. Jason says thanks very much. He gets the ball away for Lee Sanamau. There's some interesting rugby league being played in the final seconds here. Merrin. Over one, it's Rocco left in his wake. Cuthbertson and Mason held on. One play left for the Dragons. It's Widdop to Marshall. The inside ball was beautiful for Beale. He loses it forward. That's the end of 80 minutes. That's the end of the season for Newcastle and St George Illawarra. But the horror year endured by Newcastle at least has finished on a high, as has that man, Big Willie. 30-point winners against St George Illawarra. The fans stand to applaud. The old boys have been done proud. They're now 6 of their last 8 on Old Boys Day. And Kurt Gidley, Jared Mullen and his men can look forward to a bigger and better 2015. It's Newcastle 40, St George Illawarra 10.
This has been a production of Fox Sports in partnership with the National Rugby League.